Hi, what's up, guys, and welcome to my channel. And yeah, so yeah, basically this time I think it's much more like a church concept I need to try to talk about, which is absolute sex. So, um, so basically in our church, basically we have like two main problem. We just always say, and basically, okay, let's try to go in this way. So in terms of like restorations, we always say that. Foundation of faith and there's a foundation of substance, and basically you already knew foundation of faith is that you try to believe in God, so it's that you're creating like your own relationship with God, and it's supposed to be vertical, like you're supposed to be like a child and you're supposed to be someone who can just trying to let God work onto it. Yeah, or at least you can understand God's heart and be spiritually sensitive onto God's hint onto your life daily. Yeah. Another part of it is the foundation of substance. So you have the faith, you build your character, so everything onto it. Then after that, you're trying to make it work. And while you're trying to make it work, you need to face people. So basically, for our unification is we always believe that only two gender, yes, a male and female. And if you are saying that, yeah, uh, like some men they are not they born with a woman genes and everything. Those kind of like a minor pseudo sex issue, pseudo gender issue. To be honest, like that they just let it to be like the medical treatments problems, and instead of like trying to say that yeah, they losing human rights. No, we didn't kill them. Yeah, we didn't try to just suffocate them in a sense. It's not, it's different. Yeah, so we didn't try to do it, but anyway. So man and woman, and so how somehow in a relationship, um, we have two types of relationship. One is that you're trying to treat each other as a siblings. Another one is that you two trying to be a couple. And when I mean couple, it's not that people say that, oh yeah, we're just having a close relationship. No, no, no. When we talk about like a couple, the only thing that couple can do is sex. Yes, and I'll always come on to this kind of like a thingy. And usually for our church, we believe, okay, these two kind of thing, we have a name for it. One is called Cain and Abel relationship, which is like we say as a horizontal relationship, you're having trouble with other people. And while you're talking about another kind of problem, which is involve sex, and it would be called the Adam and Eve relationship. And Adam and Eve relationship itself, yep, is usually for us it means like only happen unto like a man and woman, between man and woman. So yeah, in the early days, they separate men and women very clearly. Somehow, some of the nation they're still doing it like much more like a system. Not in Korea, surprisingly. Actually, in Korea they don't really do it this way. But starting from Japan, the expansion it will just come onto like Taiwan. Then the early days of some of our church and somehow to the South America. I'm not really sure about that, but yeah, I mean, well, I'm guessing because they have a lot of like a Japanese missionaries. Yeah, and yeah, like they have much more this kind of like management. Yeah, and a lot of time we calling like a Cain and Abel relationship. We call it like a surrender to Abel. Yeah, somehow this kind of like a thinking. Then another thing, which for the Adam and Eve relationship issue, we use the solution that is called uh, absolute sex. But then okay, yeah, go to the Cain and Abel relationship. Actually, our way of like solving this issue will just say the hit-wing thoughts, or we can say like a parents oriented system. Yeah. So I don't want to focus on to like a Cain and Abel relationship right now, but I want to focus on to the absolute sex. So basically, when we're trying to talk about absolute sex itself, yeah, a lot of time we're just trying to say that, yeah, so we have three great blessings, so absolute sex, it is supposed to mean for the second one. So like a first blessing, say about like if we just directly look in the Bible, is like be fruitful, then multiply. So the second blessing is about multiply. They believe in this way, but I already tried to debunk it and saying that, yeah, actually multiply is not really something that what you're thinking about blessing and absolute sex about. So okay, usually from the outside world itself, a lot of time when they're trying to understand absolute sex, they will just heard the word absolute and sex. So usually their mind will be confusing and just like thinking, is this a cult and they just emphasize onto sex? And is it something like they will just do something weird, illicit sexual relationship, this kind of thing? Yeah, but actually not. It's totally different. So absolute sex, they come with two parts of it. So one is before marriage, and after that is after marriage. Like, or we should use it correctly is that inside the marriage. Yeah. So before marriage, we say you need to keep the sexual purity. So what's the sense of the sexual purity itself? It means is that okay? You are not, you are being asked to, okay, yeah, don't have any boyfriend girlfriend relationships, which means like a couple relationships, and not like even though like some people will just claim it, yeah, I just like being like a really close on to other man or woman, the opposite sex, and a very close relationship until like, yeah, we just change our heart, we exchange our heart a lot. Yeah, if you just know that, yeah, you two are really keeping like as a brother sister relationship, and when I mean that you really think that you can keep it, I have no control into your life. So yeah, you can just still do onto whatever way you want to do. Yeah, sure, but always just be honest onto your heart. Yeah, as long as it keeps as a brother sister relationship, and it don't have the chance to, like, it's not like you don't try to open a chance or something like to the other, but it's much more like you two know the border, where is it. Yeah. So usually, like for some of the country, they will be much more stricter. They will just trying to keep on emphasize about like, yeah, no touching, no kissing. Like, okay, yeah, kissing is not something supposed to do like inside our church, but okay, yeah, but no touching, like not even like a single touch on, like maybe even holding hands itself, or like tapping each other. It will be problematic for some of the nations. Uh, for example, Japan. Yeah. So yeah, this kind of issue, yeah, the reference onto it is usually coming from demonym. But then always I'm a little bit questioning onto it. I'm not saying that demonym is not doing a great job in the past, but always I'm like, okay, are we treating demonym as someone who is worth for us to trying to treat as a role model, or are we supposed to treat her as someone who are trying to speaking on behalf of true parents? Yeah, because like if she just a role model, maybe like the suggestion she gave is much more like, yeah, um, that's her advice, like from her spiritual eyes and from a specific like cultures of like basically who she met every day in Champion. Basically during the time in the very early days, mostly will be Korean and Japanese, and it's not someone like, oh, just randomly like yeah, just someone random from an international team, because there's like a very last like you don't really find like a translation right there. Yeah, in the past. Yeah, so it will be how should I say, problematic like in the past. So yeah, that's why. And but then like she spoke a lot about like the absolute sex thingy, like you are not supposed to even touch, you are not supposed to even think, you are not supposed to watch porn, you are not supposed to do masturbation, you are not supposed to do this, to do that, you're not supposed to go to the sexy salons, you are not supposed to go to the cinema you alone with like opposite sex, you are not supposed to uh, have a ride with opposite sex just by you alone. And yeah, they like she have a lot of like a points that she trying to say that don't do this, don't do that. So a bunch of rules onto it. Yeah. A lot of time. I mean, that's my struggle in the past is that when people talking about rules, they only focus onto the rules, but they don't talk about the motivation and in the back of it. And it just become a little bit problematic because like they would just be much more like, oh yeah, so I don't need to care anything, like I just need to follow the rules, and the rules, that's it. Yeah, so for me, I doesn't want to say that they are like the rules or like the advice that she made is entirely wrong, but if you set it as the absolute standards itself, I will be really questioning that what is the status that we are trying to put her on to. Yeah. That's the main point that I'm trying to say onto it. Yeah. So I mean, like, still the status of Deminim is still really I mean, right now it's like rising. Like in the past it's much more like, yeah, just an advisor in the back. After that, it's much more like, yeah, she's the one who raised up true mother. So that's why there's the standards of everything in this way. Yeah. But then like let's go back to talk about like the no sex before the marriage itself. Like for us, we call it like a purity. Yeah, the sexual purity. So a lot of time, yeah, in the past when they are trying to do like this part of education itself, instead of like trying to tell us that this is a period of like a preparation of you trying to giving to your spouse like a gift itself. Yeah, in the past they tried to not say in this way. I mean, like the only memory that I remember onto the absolute sex itself, like the purity part of it, is that they trying to keep on saying that, yeah, this is the absolute sex, and let us watch like the video they're talking about like the hell, and everybody is like, I'm just a kid. Yeah, I'm not even 18. So like when I'm watching all this kind of like a video, to be honest, it was like a very pretty shocking to me. Yeah, firstly, pretty shocking, and secondly, it would be much more like, yeah. So right now, I mean, it's really disgusting because it's like all the painting and people like, yeah, you know, like all the faces like, yeah, this kind of thing. Yeah, all the skins have pores everywhere. Yeah, so it's not really like a good way of like exposure. I mean, just like how the cinema like trying. I mean, the Jesus cinema and trying to let people see that, yeah, how cruel that happened to him. But when I watched it, this like I was only like 9 years old. Bro, the first time I saw blood, and I really want to vomit. Yeah, but yeah, it just happened. But I mean, in the past is really like using a lot of like a fears trying to just give us the education and stuff, because like they think that it is like the best education is to just give some fear onto the kids, which is not really. Yeah, so somehow it just happened in this way. Yeah, and somehow they like in the past, like Dr. Chung Sik Young, yeah, like they just keep on like trying to hinting. I think it's like the world issue, but I'm not really sure about this part. But yeah, but somehow, yeah, Jacopo in the past they tried to talk about it, but with a lot of like a fear and trying to hinting us, saying that if you do masturbation, if you do porn, like, or even you do cigarettes, you do alcohol, the only destination you're going is to hell. I don't know. Yeah, to be honest, like we totally forgot about like our true parents. Yeah, yeah. So we only talk about like yeah, you have the rules in the earth, but then you forgot about like you have the true parents and try to talk about like why don't we just try to talk about something much more hopeful like what should we do? What should we keep? What should we try to bring to the next generation? Yeah, we didn't really focus onto it. Yeah. So yeah, this the past like when I understand absolute sex as purity. Like in the past, I thought it's the same name, but actually it's not. It's only the first part onto it. Yeah. So for the second part onto it, I think a lot of like a Christian members they do know about this part. So the absolute sex, the second part is like inside the marriage. So inside the marriage itself, you're not supposed to have sex outside the marriage. Yeah, people already know that this like back to something similar to purity, but it's kind of different because you are trying to hold on to like a really loyal way of like a relationship. And we call this part onto it as something like yeah I don't really have a name, sorry, but basically the concept onto it is that yes, have a lot of sex within your couple. Yeah, this is how we're trying to talk about the covenant itself, right? I mean, as the Christians, and yeah, basically sex itself, like from my own understanding, yeah, absolute sex itself. When we try to talk about the couple who are inside the marriage. So sex itself is the most precious gift that God just can give it to us. And because like the sex itself is so precious, so that's why Satan also want to keep on taking it away from it. So like basically sex just bring you to not only physically emerge together, but at the same time spiritually emerge together. So this kind of like everything that just come into a unity itself, the union itself, it would just invite God to just dwell with it and work onto it more. So Satan wants to break it. You already know that. Everything that is good, Satan wants to take it. So before the marriage, Satan just keep on pushing you onto like having sex onto somebody else, like someone outside. But then after the marriage itself, Satan just keep on letting you being busy onto your day, busy onto your job, and busy onto like your children. And I mean, it's not that they are Satan, but somehow Satan tries to use them as the reason, the excuse for you to don't have any sex and to keep in your marriage. Yeah. So without sex, the desire will just keep on growing, and this kind of like a desire is keep on growing itself. It will be unstable and it will be unsatisfied for any type of people, like no matter man or woman, same. Yeah. So for me, like if other people is asking me like, okay, what is absolute sex? Basically, in a simple sentence, is that okay? Have a lot of sex inside the marriage and nothing outside. Yeah. So basically, in a simple term, like it is supposed to be done in this way. Yeah. So a lot of people might just think like, why sex itself is like so much being emphasized in the Unification Church, and basically, from our own understanding, is because this what happened to the Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. So the fruit of the knowledge of the good and evil itself is not something that are literally a food. Like if you have this kind of food and the food poisoning itself like killing you so much, either like our human races were already like being wiped out, or secondly it's much more like yeah, it would just last for a few days and yeah, that's it, no more. It's supposed to be like only in these two ways. Yeah, but then it's not. Both of it is not. And what happened right here, we truly believe is that the fruit itself is actually representing like the love of Eve, and basically it means like her sexual organs. So Eve, yeah, vagina, and basically well, right here we're just trying to emphasize the fruit, yeah. Like we didn't trying to emphasize onto the tree itself why there's different name, but yeah, we're just trying to talk about the fruit. Yeah, so this was happened in the Garden of Eden, so that's why like if you're trying to asking like any other evidence, yeah, is that okay when God trying to call Adam and Eve, like Adam and Eve is trying to hide their sexual organ with like the leaves, yeah. So there's like something that will just be much more believing onto it. So basically everything Satan wants to use or trying to conquer is about sex. So exposure onto sex and trying to make you have a lot of desire about sex, and the most easiest way for you to make a nation to crumble is to make the people the one to have sex within the within the marriage, but they have sex outside. They have or they like even inside the marriage they have their own sex toys, and I mean the sex toys for them to relieve their sexual desire, so they leave no sexual desire towards their partner. Yeah, this actually is truly a tragedy. Yeah, and as well, Satan way of like trying to make the country to continue to work is trying to make the country that he is working with a lot of people having a lot of like a kids. Basically means that they keep on having sex. Uh, is it only truly only like a one to one that we talk about a component type of like a loyal sex? I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure, but I don't know. Yeah, but this kind of situation just keep on like happening here and there, and a lot of people just thought that it's just part of the reaction, part of the desire. So that's why we don't need to control anything. We don't need any education to it, but actually we need to. Yeah. So yeah, basically in a way, in an easy sense, why we are being called like a family federation for world peace and unification. Family federation, everything will come onto the family. The most basic of the family is that two people come together, which is a husband and a wife, and the husband and wife is formed by a male and a female. Yeah, and they two having sex, they have their they just come into one, they become the union, and then God gave the blessing for them to have the children, and the children themselves are the different divisions between them, and so then they will have like a different way of expression onto life onto it, and this how the most basic unit in the society being formed. So everything it just come back to the couple, and back like everything in the child itself is the reflective of the couple. Yeah, so that's why we call it like a family federation for world peace and unification. Yeah, so why we need to have such a long name like to emphasize onto the family itself is because of this. Yeah, if we don't need to focus onto the term sex itself, like the absolute sex itself. It will become like a yeah, it's like an individualistics, and you are not trying to making the couple to come together. You are not trying to make the family that needs to come together. Everybody just become a different segments, and the different segments itself is meant to be separated. Yeah, then it will be much more problematic. Yeah, because people don't learn, people don't really just listen, and they will just die and they go to spiritual world, but at the same time they will impact other people, so other people will just take up their ideas, their ideology, or else yeah, you can just see like even the Karl Marx like a communism theory, still there are people believing onto it, even though like how no matter how much like the history already proving it like it's wrong, and like a LGBTQ issue itself, like yeah, like they don't have any generations, especially in the past, but somehow yeah, they just continue to exist in some sense. Yeah, so this kind of situation just keep on repeating and repeating, and yep, and always you know, like even the way that you're trying to mock other people is using like the sexual organs most of the time, yeah, or you're trying to calling other people to be like sexually immoral. Yeah, that's the most basic issue or the most basic facts. We just can look around our world. Like, is sex powerful? Yes, it's so powerful. But why, like so many people just try to make it sounds dirty because they just really just think that, oh yeah, maybe making it sounds dirty, I will have something to conquer onto you. I have something that is better than you. Yeah. And if you're asking them why do you have this kind of concept, they don't know. But it's something that being carved into their mind long time ago. Yeah. So that's the very interesting part. Like if we're trying to talk about like absolute sex. Yeah. So one more time, I try to emphasize if outside people like asking us about like what is absolute sex, basically in an easy sense, within a marriage, couple within the marriage, please have a lot of sex, but nothing outside. Not before, and no outside of the marriage. No sex outside of the marriage. Yeah. So this is how the way that you're trying to protect everything together. Yeah. So basically, if you're asking that, oh, do true parents also do a lot of like a sex? Yeah, basically, you can see it. They have 14 children. Okay, this is the first point. And the second point is that the testimony from our like elder members, they will just do a test. Yeah, sometimes they will just do testimony and they will just say about it. Like, even though sometimes true parents, yeah, they doing like a virtual and they come together, and but somehow like even the room is small, but somehow true parents just yeah, they will just still like they are truly a couple, so they have sex, but it's not in front of everyone. Yeah, but yeah, just sometimes people will just heard, yeah, and there are some songs, and yeah, they know, yeah, it's not supposed to be something like shameful for us to talk about sex. The sex become dirty only because of the fall and because of the culture. We are trying to keep on emphasize that, oh, sex is something really dirty, sex is something really immoral, sex is something that very animal like of like action. But we always neglected the part that the sex itself is how we trying to keep the marriage working, is trying to keep the love working in a practical and most substantial way that you can do within your couple inside the marriage. So yeah, I think basically that's it. And yeah, I think YouTube will just put me a yellow part this time, but whatever. Yeah, I think it's something important. So yeah, anyway, see you. And I hope you are just enjoying it and yeah, just knowing more concept into it. Yeah. Yeah. So hope to see you in my future videos. See you. Bye bye.